Okay, so we're back for video 2 here, and so I've oriented my table so that way I can put the camera squarely down in front of me here, and you can see the map pretty well. And then this particular thing, this scenario book, we're going to need it for several things. First of all, we're going to have to see that counteractions, mission orders, and victory points. We need to reference that as we play. And then this mission track is just like a Butterfield game. What we have to do is, so I'm going to put the book down here at the top. And then you have this little clock thing. You put it on space number 1. So the game has started. We're at here, and then this is going to move along, and if it ever gets to here, the game ends. Okay, so I'm going to start explaining some rules. We are playing as the Russians, and like I explained in the setup video, the Russians have these little beige backgrounds and the Germans have these green backgrounds. Let's go over real quick what the units look like. There's 2 sides to the unit. There is the active, and then this is their, like, what's the term? I call it exhausted, okay? So it means that they're no longer able to act this round until a refresh step occurs. So what does a turn involve? There's a round where players alternate taking turns, and then during your turn you can take 1 action. And you have a fresh unit, an activated unit, or a spent unit. So I keep calling it exhausted. The term in this game is spent. And we can go over what the unit actions are and things of that in a second. But let's get back to the unit. Okay, so the unit has action points for attacking, and this is action points for moving. So it costs 1 action point to move, and then you have to add action points to the move depending on the terrain. The terrain, obviously, the woods is going to be a different cost than, the road or somewhere else. And that is on this little cheat sheet here. So let's take the woods, for example. You can see there's woods light and there's woods heavy, which is something I don't care for in this game, because how can you tell the difference between light and heavy? God only knows. But I think the light has like the whiter tops and the heavy has the darker. So in this scenario, these are light woods and that would be heavy woods. And then here's an example where there's light woods and heavy woods right next to each other. Well, why does it matter? Well, it does matter because here you can see that this is foot movement and that's wheeled movement. And the light woods does not have any extra AP cost, whereas the heavy woods does. So those are things we have to keep in mind. There is a defense modifier being in different terrain, and it is a huge list. So I said during the setup that this is one of those games where there's 1,000 ways to do it wrong. There's only 1 or 2 ways to do it right. This is, count all these up. This is 16 of those 1,000 ways you can do it wrong. You get the terrain wrong, you forget to look up this chart, you forget to add this modifier to whatever it is you're doing. This is 1 through 32 of your possible ways of screwing up this game. I mean, it's cool. This is why I prefer to play the computer versions of games, because, I don't have to keep track of all this. But it is, let me put it this way, it's very thought out. It's very well thought out. Everything is well intentioned, and it does make for a very cool game. You just have to understand there's a lot going on. Okay, so back to this. Now the colors of the numbers mean something too. Red means, from a movement perspective, that red means that it's foot movement. And once again, if you look at the chart, you can see foot movement is red, wheeled movement is green, and track movement is blue. So that movement action point number will have a different color. So let's grab a tank, for example. Well, here we go. This is a truck, and there you can see the green. That's wheeled movement, right? And then here's a tank. That's track movement, okay? Now, these little dots, those mean something too. And you can look on the chart, and it's actually a bonus per dot. You get bonuses for those. It says a unit may bonus move 1 extra open terrain or road wheel per hex that's listed with that color. So for example, this has 2 dots, so that means it gets 2 bonus movement against the terrains that have that. And you can see here that the open terrain has a dot, the road has a dot. So you would actually get 2 bonus move points for every action point. So how does this work? Let's just talk movement real quick. Movement is 1 action point per hex, and then you have to add whatever terrain penalty on top of that. So a foot unit can move in from here to there for 1 action point, and the woods don't actually cause a penalty. A foot unit can move from here to there for 2 action points because these are heavy woods. So it's that kind of thing. And then you get into the trucks and the tracks, and of course the green chart and the blue column are going to have different values than the foot soldier. Okay? All right, I think I've talked to that to death enough. Let's move on. Okay, so the attack AP is 3 action points to attack. This one's 5 action points to attack, and then it has a white circle. The white circle means something. I don't remember off the top of my head. Here we go. We have another little sheet here. And here you can see the white circle is that it's a turreted or 360-degree tripod. So it may fire outside of its arc, but it costs you 2 extra action points if you do that. The arc, of course, will be the front versus flank, right? So it can attack its front, but if you need to attack its flank, it's going to be 2 extra action points. So you can see there's a circle, there's a box, there's a whole lot of stuff in this game. We're not going to go through all of them. Now, moving on, so what are action points in this game? I just mentioned that the 2-player game has action points, but the solitaire game has no action points. Well, the way this works is this is a list of order cards, and I'm going to grab an order card that's not in the game, like this one. Okay, this order card is going to serve multiple functions. And one of the functions, of course, is that the AI is going to follow these orders. But at the very bottom is a little thing. So I'm going to draw one of these after I finish my turn. So let's say I did something here, and this costs 3 action points. Well, I'm going to draw a card, flip it over, and look at the bottom. And this says if there was greater than 5, it shows that it's being flipped over to its striped side. See the little striped side there? So that would mean this is a spent unit or exhausted. Okay, since it was not greater than 5 action points spent, it's not exhausted, and it actually gets to take another turn. Not immediately, but it stays active, so I can use it again. Because remember, a round doesn't end until both players pass. So you can keep taking actions as often as you want until you pass. And so this particular unit, it can do something, and I spent my 3 action points, right? And I didn't get to have to turn it over, so now it's active. So when it comes my turn again, I can activate this turn and this unit another time, and still not. Eventually, your luck's going to run out, and then you're going to be spent. And then now, when it's my turn again, I have to pick another unit, or I have to pass, because this unit can no longer take actions. Okay, that's the concept, the basic concept of how this game plays. And getting into the final numbers here, these are attack value and defense value, okay? The red is soft and blue is hard. So I think most of you who are in war games understand the difference between the two. How do I know a soft target versus a hard target in this game? Well, it's just the defense number. So this defense number is red, so it's a soft target. And then this is a attack value against a soft target or against a hard target. If I pull up the tank here, you can see the tank is blue, so this is a hard target. The filled in color means something. Oh, what does it mean? Flank defense. That's what it is. So if you're attacking the tank from its flank, it has a 15 defense value, so weaker, rear end, and then a 19 if you're attacking from the front. The truck is just as weak on either side. And here you can see the submachine gun a little bit weaker if you attack from the flank. Okay. This 4 here means it gets a 4 attack value against soft targets. It gets no bonus against hard targets. And this little number here, this 3 in the star, that's the range. So it can shoot 3 spaces away. Obviously the truck can't shoot any spaces away. So there's this thing as close combat. So 2 units in the same space can do close combat. This is considered short range combat, and then that's considered regular, possibly, I'd have to look up what long range means. I don't know if it's the same, but this is the normal, like most attacks in this game. Okay, so this particular unit can attack that truck because it's, you know, less than 3 spaces away. The truck, of course, could not attack the unit. Trucks aren't meant to be attacking, so we all know better. So I'm going to go ahead and put that back in a box. Okay, so how does an attack work? Obviously, this submachine gun unit is not going to do very well against a tank, but let's go ahead and try to mimic that. Let's say that it actually even ambushed the tank, so it's attacking from behind. I know these are both Russian units, but just bear with me on that. So the first thing you would do is, I mean, you can look stuff up, but this tank would be defending with its value of 15, and this unit would be attacking with a value of 0. So I would have to roll 2 dice and get 15. And so you're thinking to yourself, well, hold on a second. I didn't get born on a turnip truck here. I can only get a 12 with these 2 dice, and that's if I roll perfect. You're right. So this unit's not even going to be able to hit the tank. And that's how this game is. So I'm going to roll 2 dice, and I'm going to add whatever that number is to my 2 dice. And it has to be bigger than that number over there. Now, obviously, the tank gets annoyed because this guy fired at it and didn't do any damage. The tank turns around. Now we've got head-on battle, and I roll 2 dice. I get an 8, and then the tank gets to add 5 to that, so that's 13. And I attack this unit, which had a 12. Not the 11, but the 12, because they're facing each other. But he's in light woods. So light woods gives +1 to the DM, which makes it a 13. So the tank rolled the roll plus the value is 13. He was defending at 13. He actually would get hit. So it took a roll of an 8 for this tank to still be able to hit him, which leads to gripe number 2 I have with this game. I feel like I spend an awful lot of time in this game shooting, rolling, and missing. And maybe that's, you know, representative of thematic real life stuff, but from a gameplay perspective, it sucks. I'm not saying the game sucks. I'm just saying that I don't enjoy missing all the time. And that's what this is. I mean, I had to roll an 8 with this tank to be able to hit that unit. And an 8's not an easy roll. That's actually a low probability roll. And, I mean, it's not the lowest of them, but it's definitely not as easy as, you know, a 7. And so anyways, that's the gist of how you read these. And so I promised that the gameplay would start here, so I'm not going to go any longer, but it's extremely important that you understand those numbers, because everything else that we do, you know, there's still 100 other ways to screw up the game, but everything else we do, you at least have a solid understanding of that. Okay, so we get to go first, and we know this because the scenario told us. Otherwise, we would be rolling 2 dice for initiative, and the initiative roll, oh gosh, I forgot what the initiative roll is. You would roll dice and you'd have to, I think, get better than a 7 to be the one that goes first. We'll look it up later because I don't need to know it right now. For this round, we are first, and there's no doubt about that. So what do we get to do? Good thing you ask. Okay, there's 2 of these cheat sheets, player aids, and they are identical, okay? because it's a two-player game, one for each player. Now, when you're playing a solitaire game, you can just flip one over, so that way you can see both sides without ever having to flip them over. I really like that. This side's the terrains. You're going to need this. This is your Bible. And then this over here is more of the, well, what can I do? Okay, so this explains the combat and stuff that I was just explaining. Here for the unit actions, you can see you can move, you can attack, you can rally, you can play a card, you can hide, you can do a hasty defense, and you can do a group move, a group attack, and other actions. The group actions actually are pretty neat, and I'm realizing I should have read more about those before I started this game. But continuous units may move together and pay only the AP cost of the moving unit with the highest cost to move, which is pretty cool. They have to be all linked together. The group attack, the attack group leader pays its cost to attack, and then adjacent units may join, and each adds +1 to the attack roll. So that's actually huge. And remember I told you this game is about a lot of rolling and missing? You've got to start getting good at group attacks, or otherwise you will miss a lot in this game. All other actions may be performed by a group of continuous. So we're going to have to maybe get a little bit more familiar with these. And when they list so they list the rule section where this is explained, you have to understand that is not the solitaire rules, that's the multiplayer rules. So this is why I was telling you I forgot to read the group attack, because that was in the multiplayer rule set, not the solitaire rule set. So we're gonna have to familiarize ourselves with that. Just understand, I can't do a group attack yet because none of my units are next to each other, but it is an excellent idea. And in fact, we may want to start doing a move with this unit and get here so that we can do a group attack together. That's a really nice strategy actually for this particular scenario. Okay, couple of things. When we do any action, we're gonna spend action points. After we do that, we're gonna do the check against the card, which I explained, and see if the unit becomes spent or not. But we have some cheats that we get to do. We start with 4 command points. Okay, that's this here. And in fact, I can probably get away with turning this sideways so we can have some more table space. But so we got 4 command points. These can be spent every round. So when a new round starts, we're gonna be back to 4 again. So these are like 4 awesome points that represent our ability to command the situation. A couple of ways these can be used. I can spend up to 2 of them to change a die roll or add like a bonus. So let's say I roll, I get a 7. I could have spent up to 2 of these to get a 9. But you need to make that decision before you roll the dice. You can't ever see the result and then spend the points, okay? It's not that cheaty. But anytime I roll, like for an attack or anything, I can spend this to change or add a bonus to my die roll. Add or subtract. It's my choice. I can't spend these to change the AI's die roll, okay? Only your own. The other thing I can do is, let's say I have a unit that just spent 3 action points to do its actions. I can spend 3 of these to completely negate it, and then the unit doesn't ever have to do a check to see if it's gonna be spent. You don't even do the check. Or I can spend 1 or 2 points, and then that 3 becomes a 2 or a 1, respectively. And so it'll be easier for it to pass the check. So, if you spent 5 action points and you're a little worried, you don't want it to become spent, you could spend it through a few of your command points to reduce the cost. And so it'll make it easier for it to pass. I think there's a few other, there's cards that we're gonna draw. In fact, we get to draw one right now at the start of this turn. And then those cards may have costs that we can spend these for. And like I said, that's just victory points up there. Okay, so I apologize, there's so much to explain, but I feel like I'm going through them at a fairly good clip. Okay, so per the scenario rules, the Russian player, by the way, the AI never draws these are only for us. The Russian player gets to draw 1 now, and then at the beginning of every round. So we're going to go ahead and draw one now. And let's see what we got. We have careful aiming. So we get to add +2 attack value. It costs nothing, meaning it's a freebie for us to play, which is awesome. It's a one-time play, though. Understand that. It's a one-time card. I get to add +2 to the attack value of a unit after all other modifiers are applied and before rolling dice. So again, I have to do it before I roll the dice, but I can do it to make sure I get a better chance of getting a hit. So I'm going to just go ahead and set that aside. That's really nice. Okay, what's our objective? Our objective is to score points. The way we score points is every unit that we eliminate, we immediately get 1 victory point for eliminating a unit. For every, if we take control of this hex, we get a victory point for that. We lose a victory, or the Germans get a victory point, which is the equivalent of us losing one, if they eliminate one of our units. Okay, so in a nutshell, that's it. Let's see. When the mission ends, I think we win as long as we have at least 1 victory point. I don't think there's a threshold we have to hit to win. Obviously, if we eliminate everything and take the point, there's no need to keep playing. Okay, so what do we do? Well, like I was saying, I think one of the things we want to do is maybe get these units grouped together so that way we can do group attacks. A group attack is a really nice way to get a bonus to your die roll. Now, obviously, with 2 units here and 2 units there, the group attacks are only going to get a +1. So if this one's the leader, the other one would just be giving a +1 to the leader. So a +1 to your die roll is not super exciting. So I don't think it's necessarily paramount. Oh, there's one other special rule. This is a German recon. And this German recon, its only action that it can do is move into the control point. And it can only do that if it's the only unit left in the game. So for now, it's stuck just sitting there, and it can't move. Okay, so our situation, let me zoom in a little. You can see we have a rifle unit that's facing this way. We have a rifle unit facing that way. And then we have a rifle unit facing towards us. Now, there's some other complications. This house blocks his line of sight and ours. So we have no line of sight to him. Line of sight is center to center, and the house blocks that line of sight. And how do I know this? Well, there is a guide somewhere. I think it's in the rule book. Oh, goodness. Yeah, oh, right here. I'm sorry. I'm having a brain fart. It's on our terrain sheet. So here you can see blocks line of sight is one of the columns. Let me zoom back out a little bit. And then this, of course, is a building, a stone building versus a wood building. A wood building blocks line of sight, and the stone building also blocks line of sight. Now, the line of sight rules, I do appreciate they made them as simple as possible. It's center to center, and if there's any terrain thing anywhere in there, it consumes the whole thing. So even though this house isn't, consuming the entire grid, you don't get to sit there and assume that this doesn't have a house. I mean, and they actually have little dots. They're really hard to see that identify where the center is. I do appreciate that as well. I wish they were a little bit more pronounced, but it's not bad. And the dot is right here in the middle of the house. So there's really no reason to be confused. So anyways, this is blocking line of sight. So we have an opportunity to move in, and then we can get inside of this building, and then we actually have a short range attack situation, and we can actually have line of sight on him, right? But not until we get to here will we have line of sight. Now, I think I have line of sight to this one, because I can draw from this center to that center without going through this building. So I could shoot him as well. So this one has line of sight there. This one has line of sight here. This guy has line of sight on the transport or recon. Yeah. And then way down here, this guy really can't do anything. He does have a range of 5, which is 1, 2, 3. So he actually does have line of sight from way back here. So that's actually quite interesting. And the fact that he has 5 range, well, these rifle guys all have 5 range. That's very interesting. So nothing gets reduced, by the way, from range. As long as it meets the range criteria, they can hit it. Okay, so back to the action at hand. I think what I want to do for now is let's start plugging away at these guys before they get into shelter. Because the AI is very likely going to move this guy off the road and into a building. So while he's on the road, I want to capitalize on hitting him. So I'm going to hit him with this guy. We're going to shoot from here to there and try to injure this guy before he gets into a building or off the road. The other thing I could do is I could move into here, which would take that building away from him. That's a very interesting idea. And the problem is I can only pay to move to an adjacent hex. So this would actually be 2 turns for me. 1 turn to move here, 1 turn to move there. And when I do my 1 turn to move here, he may use his turn to move there and get into the building before me. So I don't want to lose my opportunity. He's on a road. He gets no protection. We're going to attack him. Okay? Enough of that. Let's get this game going, right? Okay, so we have a 3 here. So we get a +3 to our roll. He has a 12. So I need a roll of a 9 or better to hit him. So already I'm not happy with my odds. So it's pretty crappy. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to spend 2 command points to give myself a +2 to my die roll. Sorry for the wobbly camera there. So I'm going to spend 2, and now I need a 7 to hit him. But I don't even like that odd, and I'm just going to blow my card. And I'm going to play this and add +2 more to make it a 5. So I need a 5 or better to hit this guy. He's on a road, and like I told you, I want blood. Let's start off with some blood. Come on, baby. If I don't roll a 5, I'm going to be so pissed. There we go. Look. Oh, I'm going to be pissed anyways. Oh, there is a YouTube karmic justice thing, isn't there? So I spent command points. I spent my card because I was worried about being able to roll a 9. And I rolled a 9. So I didn't need to spend any command points. I didn't even need to spend my card. But how was I supposed to know that, right? I mean, you got to play the game smartly. So anyways, we hit them. Yay, we hit them. Okay, so what happens when you hit them? Well, now we draw one of these and see what happens to them. And it's really funny because I read the rules on that and I don't remember anything from there, but let's draw one. So he's suppressed. I don't know what that means. And he gets a -2 to his. So basically the way you read this is this goes and it becomes like this. So he now has to spend 4 action points to do an action. He loses his 2 bonus there, and he has no, he actually has a -2 against hard targets. There's nothing that modifies his movement. And then this is, how does he lose this? Like, he can rally and get rid of this. So how does he heal? He would need a 7 or better. But the AI's got this nasty thing called an auto rally, which isn't fair, but they basically just get rid of them for free. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. Okay, so they get that, and yeah, they're not dead. So that hurts. Now, what causes a unit to die? Well, that's the part that's flaky, because it's not in the solitaire rules. You got to look in this. So when you look in here, destroyed unit 7.4.1. So you got to look in the regular rules for that. A hit unit is destroyed when it takes a second hit. Okay, so you just have to hit him a second time, and so that yellow thing is fine, and or an unhit unit is attacked and critically hit. It takes 2 hits and is destroyed. So it is possible to be critically hit, and that's where all this stuff is explained here. So an unhit unit takes a hit. Its player draws a hit marker, and without revealing it to his opponent, places it face down. We don't have to worry about that. Oh, hold on. I think in a solitaire game we do... Crap, I'm already making my first mistake. Let's see here. Hit counter, 7.4. So here's the solitaire rules. When an AI takes a hit, randomly draw and place a hit counter under the AI without looking at the hit counter. The hit counter is only revealed when this unit tries to execute an order or is attacked. Oh, here we go. Beginners may draw and place it face up. So when we're not beginners anymore, we can do it face down. So there you go. I didn't screw anything up yet. At least I don't think so. All right. So if you attack and hit an AI, you commit any caps, which we did, and we modify our attack roll, and then we reveal the AI hit counter and see if it's defense value. At this point, it may turn out the hit counter was a KIA and your shot was wasted because the unit was already destroyed. A hit AI is ordered to move towards blah, blah, blah. Okay, once a counter is revealed, it remains revealed. Okay, we got this. We got this, folks. We're good. We're good. All right, so now my turn's over. This leads to great number 3 with this game. If it wasn't for me explaining to you all this stuff that I'm thinking and doing, I could have done all that in like 3 seconds. And, well, maybe a few more because I would have been blowing into my dice and wishing for a good roll. But the point is that we're going to spend twice as long on the AI turn. Okay, so we spent 4 action points. That's what this little 4 is here. That little 4 right there. So we spent 4 action points. That's actually quite a doozy. Let's see what happens. We draw this. It says greater than 5 on the bottom, so we're good. And then, by the way, this goes into the discard pile, that card we just drew. So since we drew a number greater than 4, this card remains fresh. So that means he can attack again next turn. Okay, so now it's the AI turn. First thing we do is we draw a card. Okay. It is a blue command order card. This applies to fresh units and spent units. The blue card does. It represents the command being able to do things that even you thought they couldn't do. So usually when a unit's spent, you can't activate them anymore, but in this case, the AI can. So it's a pretty neat thing about this game. And there was a guy on Facebook that really had he was just smitten over this. But what it does is that you can't ever rest on your laurels, right? So if the AI unit's spent, you think, okay, that AI unit can't activate anymore, so I'm going to devise the rest of my round around that. Well, this blue card ruins your day, right? Because now that spent unit gets to go again, okay? All right, so now that we got that out of the way, this little red symbol here means that close combat. Close combat, like I explained, is a situation where we're literally in the same hex as the other unit. There is no close combat, so we're going to be skipping right over. These are priority, meaning these happen first. And I don't know why they put these like in their own little section. It's really top down. I mean, I don't know why they separate priority from tactical, but You always do this one first, and then this one is the short range, so where they're right next to each other, and we don't have that situation either. So well, now we move on. So now these. Okay, we're going to try to do it, and if any of these fail, we move on. We only do it if the whole thing can be accomplished, okay? The AI is always written or read from left to right. So, highest attack rating, AI, furthest from a fresh hit unit, okay? So now what it's saying is it's saying highest attack rating, AI. So I could have, let's say, a unit that has an attack rating of 4. That's further away than a unit with an attack rating of 10. But the attack rating of 10 is what you would focus on first, before you even check to see who's the furthest. Okay? So the 10 always wins because it's the highest attack rating, and then just you're ignoring everything else. So we would find the 10. Okay? Then furthest from a fresh, but here we go, fresh hit unit. I don't have any hit units. So a unit, by the way, is a player. Okay? That's always a player. That one there, this is the solitaire game. So unit refers to our units. AI refers to their units, okay? That's a very key thing. So I don't have any hit units, so we can skip this whole thing, okay? So now we move to the next one. Fresh, that's all of them. They're all fresh. Unhit, that's all of them except for him, right? Mobile AI, I don't know what mobile is. What's mobile? Why don't I know what mobile is? I'd have to look that up. I'm assuming mobile means it's not like a fixed unit like an artillery. And of course, indexes fail, which sucks. So mobile is not in the index, but it is in definitions. So mobile is a, looking right here where my thumb is, foot or vehicle that has 1 AP movement cost printed on their counter. Okay, very good. The rulebook saved itself. Okay, so a foot unit, which a mobile unit is all of them, in fact. It says a foot or vehicle. So even the vehicle has 1 movement. So far, closest to an in LOS, meaning line of sight, mission, objective, or spent unit. Okay, so I don't think that this is the mission or objective, is it? Actually, it might be. Okay, so fresh, all of them. Unhit, all of them. Mobile, all of them. Closest to an in line of sight, mission objective, or spent unit. Okay, there are no spent units, so the question becomes mission objective. Okay, I would say this is the mission objective because you know they lose a victory point, or we gain a victory point if we take this control spot. So is that the mission objective? Ugh, that's a weird thing because the scenario book doesn't quite say. All right, so let's go look at a different scenario and see if there's a mission objective on those. There's special rules. Wagons count as mission objectives for purpose of AI order execution. That was written specifically on the rules. So let's see here. That's all stuff relating to the mission track. You know, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that there is no mission objective on this one. It's funny. I mean, the whole thing is... This is pretty normal for this game. Now, obviously, mission objective is pretty simple normally. This particular one is causing me to get a little unhinged because I can't see a mission objective written anywhere on the... So there might not be a mission objective on this one. Which is even crazier. Here we go. Mission objective. I should have looked in the same exact spot. Control markers that are controlled by the player. Some missions also specify additional mission objectives. Okay, I apologize. All I had to do was look in the same place I looked at for the last keyword. So that is a mission objective. Okay, so now that we got that accomplished, fresh, unhit mobile AI closest to an in-line of sight mission objective. Spent units don't exist. And they move towards. Well, here's the ones. There's 2 of them. And the mission rules specifically say that this guy can't move unless all the other ones are eliminated. So it's this one. So he's going to move towards that control point, and we're going to move him and have him face the closest Russian unit. So that's another thing. When you're moving them, which orientation do you give them after they finish their move? And there is a big, long flow chart, very coin-like. And it says the AI will move into a hex, blah, blah, blah. They will pivot towards a flanking unit if the AI cannot move. And I think, so what I'm going to do is I'm at 42 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and hit stop. I'm going to look and see, do I have any rules on which way they're supposed to pivot after they move? Or maybe he wasn't able to pivot at all, right? He was here facing this way, and if he moves, is he forced to face that way because that's the way he moved? Or does he get to pivot one more time? That's what I'm trying to make sure. I just want to make sure I get it right, and I don't want to make you watch me look that up. So I'm going to do that real quick, and it's not covered here. I mean, pivoting is a movement action according to this, but we're moving and pivoting at the same time. So let me check that, and I will see you soon. Thanks for watching. Stay awesome.